All right, now we get on with the program. As you know, we love to do this. We have to call it TED-style talks because, there's this proprietary thing about that. I think next year we're going to call them BIA talks, but that's for next year. I'm really excited to kick off the next part of our program now with our first TED Talk speaker. I want to remind you to look for her bio with the Q code because this is an amazing woman. Kim Brennan is the managing director of Cushman in Wakefield. Please give Kim a warm welcome as she makes her way up to the podium. Be ready to be awed.
Thank you, Michelle. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Good morning. The new office amenity is people. What does that mean? I started my career in the 1990s, or as my kids like to refer to it, in the Stone Age. My first job, I got right out of college, and I actually typed out my letter, I sent it, and I got it from a classified ad. Things have changed very drastically since then. Back then, people worked from 9 to 5. There were payphones. There weren't a lot of cell phones. If you were lucky, you had a cell phone in a box on a car. But if you had to make a call, you were at that payphone. And if you had to go on vacation, you actually went on vacation. Unless they could find you in that hotel, you actually had some days off. So when I got to the office for my first job interview, I noticed there was a receptionist and there was a huge switchboard and she was paging people in this office. And I looked around and I said, this is interesting. There's phones on the desk. She's paging people. Where's that corner office? Now, the corner office, that coveted corner office, the boss office, was the office that I always wanted. If you asked me when I was a child what I wanted to do, I wasn't totally sure, but I knew that I wanted that corner office one day. So as I moved into the space and I had the interview in the corner office with no light coming through, a heavy oak door, an executive assistant out there that barely let anybody in, I got the job. And I looked down the hallway and I looked at the rest of the space. It was kind of dark. There were other offices and they were scattered around in order of seniority, it looked like. And there were cubes, a lot of cubes. They all had high walls. They all looked the same. So I get the job and I work for 1 year. And in that space, I also want to point out, there was a break room. We had break rooms back then, windowless break rooms. If you were lucky, you could get a bad cup of coffee and maybe some M&Ms out of the vending machine. Plus, perhaps there was a sandwich shop downstairs, but mostly we made our own lunch. Here I am working, and I'm the most junior person in the department. The woman ahead of me had been there a year before me. There's a vacancy. It's promotion time. Somebody quit. I was so happy. Somebody quit, was moving on to another job, and I had the chance to get that promotion. So I asked for it. That's what they tell you, right? Ask. I asked. Not only did I ask my boss, but I asked the boss's boss. And you know what I heard? I heard no. I heard, you know what? You're really good. You work hard. You're social. You're smart. But we're going to give it to the other woman because she's been here longer. And that killed me. And I'm like, wow, is this what corporate America's like? So I took it in stride and I stopped and I pivoted. And I said, you know what? Where can I go that I'm going to make more for my career? Where am I going to have an opportunity? So I pivoted, I turned, and I started to work in New York City. And I worked for one of the competitors because I was like, I'm going to go work for a competitor. I'll show them. So as my career moved, and I went from research to brokerage to management to brokerage again, the office space changed. Gone were those corner offices. And I was upset about that. I'm like, there's no corner office anymore. The corner office was now a conference room with glass walls around it. And there were really no other offices either. Everything was glass. They had some cubes up against the wall. They wanted to let light in for the space. It was not at all what I had pictured. And sometimes the boss would actually sit in the middle of the space with all the people. There were huddle rooms. There were collaboration rooms. There was bench seating where people would just sit. Computers made their way in, cell phones. People were more mobile. And when people were more mobile, you had a little more flexibility about working outside of the office in certain careers. So all this is happening, and this is the trend, right? We think, wow, this is what's going to be here forever. Well, boom, COVID hits. COVID hits and set us back to working totally remote in our homes, which was challenging for a lot of people. And they kept telling everybody, we can't have you back. You can't be near each other. You have to be 6 feet apart. You cannot touch the coffee machine. You can't touch food. You're going to come in shifts. I was walking in on an A day, my colleague on a B day. I ordered myself a Keurig machine to share with the vice chairman next to me because we weren't allowed in the kitchen. People thought, wow, what's going to happen here with space? And there were other challenges. As a woman, I think all of us were challenged. We used to have a work day that was actually outside of the office where we could work, head down work. Now, here you are in the middle of your household, typically with other people. I had 2 kids and a husband, 3 dogs. Everybody's working. Everybody's complaining about the Wi-Fi. The dogs are barking when I'm on a call. My husband's screaming from downstairs. I'm throwing a load of laundry and I'm prepping meals. For me, it was chaos. I couldn't wait to get back. But the key takeaway from all this was the more we worked at home and away from our colleagues, the more being together mattered. People needed to go back in the office. People are inherently social. They wanted to go back and brainstorm with their colleagues. They wanted to be able to communicate. You can't do all that on Zoom. You can do some of it, and some people have some success, but for the most part, people needed to be back. You cannot overlook the fact that you could be standing outside of somebody more senior's office and they motion you in and you get to hear the last 10 minutes of a phone call like that. That doesn't happen at home. And I got little nuggets like that all through my career that absolutely helped me. So, real estate costs. Real estate used to be the number one thing on the balance sheet that the CEOs and the C-suite looked at. And it's still important, but there's been a shift. HR has been invited over to the table. They're looking at different things now. They're looking at health and wellness. We look at labor analytics. We look at commutation patterns. These things are all things that companies look at now. The flight to quality to Class A buildings that everybody used to talk about has now become a flight to experience. What does that mean? That means that in this hybrid environment, people want some type of experience. They want some type of live, work, play atmosphere in order to bring people back to the office. Companies went from me only thinking about the employee to we. Now they have to think about everything. And the trend right now in commercial real estate is, the trend right now in commercial real estate is people want to work smarter and more productive, but they want to have less capital costs. Companies want to be smarter about their space. So I know my group, my team, we work with global companies, and these global companies want us to engage with portfolio optimization. We want to take a look at everybody's space and cost. And that's what we basically do all day, is look at that and make sure that they're in the right spot. So there's a couple key trends that you need to be aware of in real estate right now. One of them, mobility. People want the ability to work from anywhere at any time, whether it's in your home office or whether it's in one of the company's offices globally or the coffee shop down the street. And what comes along with that is good technology. And it's not so much anymore to have good Wi-Fi. At this point, Wi-Fi is a must. It's a given. That already should happen. Companies are redesigning some of their conference rooms now to not only have good Wi-Fi, but to have actual cameras pointing at the people in the conference rooms. So you can actually sit in a conference, have somebody on Zoom, and there'll be a camera on every single person. And you'll hear every person. I can't tell you how many times we've all sat in these Zoom meetings and you just see a big sea of faces down a table. You have no idea who's talking. You can barely get a word in edgewise. That has changed. And my friends over at Gensler, the architectural firm, tell me they're designing Zoom backgrounds in some of these conference rooms. So they're actually designing walls that look like a Zoom background. Choice and flexibility. A lot of these companies are looking for giving their employees, sorry, this microphone's a little off, giving these employees a little bit of choice in where they work. They want amenity-rich buildings. They gone as that single tenant, one cafeteria in the building. They want a neighborhood that extends beyond the workplace nowadays. And I think a good example of this is Connell Corporate Center. I don't know if any of you know about this in Basking Ridge, but it's very cool because it's a live, work, play type of environment. The Connells have done a really good job in making it like a hospitality kind of environment. It's not in a city, but it looks like it's in a city-like atmosphere. And Fiserv, who's a financial technology company, just took 400,000 square feet there. And it's cool because Fiserv here, and it's very cool because they have this live, work, play type hospitality experience where they have healthy meals. There's a company called Park Choice Life Meals that they have a team of chefs that are putting together meals every day. And you can go and you can order them and pick them up because health and wellness are important. They have the gym, they have a nutritionist, and they have some co-working spaces there too. And the co-working spaces I really like because they have a library, they have a bar, they bring people in after the day is over for socialization. So you could have a game night, a trivia night, a book club. Things like that are pretty cool. The other choice is people want, and the employees want choice in where they sit, right? So they want to be able to sit one day on a comfy couch, putting their feet up on the coffee table, possibly on a laptop, so they can see people. One day they may want head down space. There's all kinds of different things that the employees want from their company now. And some of that has to do with lighting and plants. But the other big piece of it is the company wants something else. The company wants more out of the lobby. They maybe want more amenities, and they want outdoor space. Now, outdoor space has been great in the city. We've always had terraces on the outdoors. Jersey, we're just starting to do that. M Station down in Morristown, the Deloitte space, they have a great outdoor space. It's really an extension of their social hub, and they have events out there. And again, with the outdoor spaces, you need good Wi-Fi, you need plants, you need lighting, you need umbrellas. The other very cool space that just went up is the Valley Bank space in Morristown. And the Valley Bank space has the 6th floor where it has like a movable wall. So they're going to actually even host some events outside for the public with that. So that's choice and flexibility. The other huge nugget is health and wellness. Health and wellness are hugely important to people nowadays. They were important at home. I don't know if I was really good at health and wellness at home, but in the office I am. And part of that experience with health and wellness is that companies are focusing on mental health as well as your health. Years ago, health in a company meant maybe a doctor would come give you a flu shot if you were lucky. Not anymore. They focus now on healthy meals, spaces where you can connect with nature, maybe an indoor space that goes through to an outdoor space where you can meditate. They could be some type of break room where you can do yoga, things that they're pulling in people to have a little bit of mental wellness during the day. Not that break room of the past that was windowless or that smoker's lounge that was windowless. That doesn't happen anymore. Again, I'm going to talk about food because I love food, but there's the lobby of people's buildings is important because they want some good food choices. Again, M Station in Morristown. The Santa Fe building is going to have an actual food court, like Nashville food court. If any of you have ever been to Nashville, they have some really high-end, very cool food courts there. That's what they're putting in there. So I would be remiss if I didn't also talk about social awareness, which is very important to people as well nowadays. Valley Bank is putting in a coffee shop in their ground floor level, which is, the first of its kind. It's called the Elephant and the Bean. And it should be open to the public as well, but they're going to hire people with developmental disabilities to work there. So every single person here has a different journey. Your journey is your own, but the path you take to get there is different. And on the path, you're going to hit a lot of obstacles constantly, but you have to pivot. You have to turn and you have to pivot and move on. And if you can do that, you will have success in your career. Thank you.